Yeah, good evening, everyone. Starting the session now. A very warm welcome to everyone for this webinar, which is being organized by the Gujarat Institute of Civil Engineers and Architects, jointly with Institute of Town Planners India, on subject of post-COVID real estate and opportunity to build back better. And For this seminar, we have our speaker, Shri N.K. Patel, who is Chairman and Managing Director of Sun Builders Group, and he is also Chairman of ITPI Gujarat Regional Chapter. And As a moderator of the session, we have Shri Bhargav Desai, who is Executive Director at PC Snehal Group. He is also Director of RISPA and Institute engaged in Real Estate and Management Studies. And he is also an immediate past president of GICA. So now with this, I will now request our President GICA, Shri K.C. Patel, to give his welcome address.
Good evening, everyone. I would to like welcome all GIC member, guest, listening speaker, Sri N.K. Patel sir, and moderator of the session, Sri Bhargav Desai, for this fifth webinar on post-COVID real estate and opportunity to build back better, organized by Study Circle Committee of the Gujarat Institute of Civil Engineers and Architects. Till end of the February 2020 is as normal and happy time for all real estate developers and customers. People made site visits, analyze option and purchase property from real estate developer. It was a happy day for all stakeholders. And then come COVID-19 situation, which has not been only changed landscape for real estate sector, but for entire national and global economy. Many of you will be directly or indirectly associated with the real estate business, and many of us will be a consumer. Hope this webinar will be enlightening for developers as well as consumers, which will be also help them in decision making process. It is always privilege to hear Shri N.K. Patel sir. In my personal opinion, N.K. Patel sir is a versatile personality. He's a actively engaged with real estate business, academics, and being ex-town planner. Since last 20 years, I have not missed a single seminar, speech, or personal interaction with N.K. Patel sir relating to town planning or real estate. Patel sir is a like mentor, visionary, and ideal personality for many of others like myself. Patel sir is also visionary and our mentor for this webinar series. Sri Bhargav Desai will be mentoring this session. He is an immediate past president of GICA and academician too. He was also one of the speakers in previous webinar. I hope this webinar will be able to achieve new heights. એવું કહી શકાય કે આ વેબિનાર ના ભૂતો ના ભવિષ્ય એવો થવા જઈ રહ્યો છે. So I now request to continue further proceeding. Yes, Majithia.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Now we request Shri Bhargav Desai to give his welcome remarks, specifically with regards to the subject matter, and then he can moderate the entire session. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, good evening, friends. So very warm welcome. As President KC has already given, is a very, very warm and appropriate welcome to everyone. Today, I am moderating this particular webinar, which is the fifth in the series, on behalf of the GICA and ITPI. Both the institutes are very premier institutes of Ahmedabad. GICA is an institute which helps all the construction related professionals to acquire the knowledge and also the information which continuously coming in the profession day by day, either it is from the government or from the private, or whatever relevant information is there that GICA imparts and share with the members. Friends, this institute is based since 73 years in city of Ahmedabad, and the irony of this organization is that at the time of enrollment only, GICA takes a one-time membership fees. Initial stage, it was perhaps 1,000 or 1,500. Now it is about 20,000, but that is all. Once you pay at the time of entrance, throughout your life, you can enjoy the membership of the organization without paying a single penny then onwards. Today, the membership strength of the GICA is 4,300 plus. 4,300 members of construction profession are under the umbrella of GICA. Friends, GICA is managed by a very, very transparent and democratic manner, and the board members and the mentors of the institute, they are managing the affairs of GICA, its activities, its accounting, and everything. Friends, today's speaker, N.K. Patel, is also one of the mentor of this institute. Now in GICA, we address him as NK, and the active members of the GICA do not need any introduction of NK, but the host of the event, Sri Yash Majitia, has told me that there are many participants who are not the active members of the GICA. So for their information, I'm just sharing the few qualities of NK Patel. For the real estate industry, NK is a full package. We can say that NK is a Pandora box of the real estate industry. As you know, the Pandora box has many compartments, but the first and the most important compartment is a very, very successful real estate operator, and his successful career spans for more than last 40 years. In this 40 years, he has built several hundreds of residential accommodation in and around the city of Ahmedabad. Hundreds of accommodations are being built by his flagship company, Sun Builders. Similarly, thousands of square feet of commercial spaces are being developed, constructed by Sun Builders. And NK is involved in lakhs of square yards of land. So all the real estate operations, whether it's a residential or a commercial or land dealing, NK is expert in it and is still going very, very strong in this particular arena. We wish him a very, very good luck for his coming business also. This is the first compartment of the package called NK. Now the second compartment is even more fascinating. The second compartment is he is passionate about the academics. Friends, whatever information and knowledge he gathers from his professional career, which is at a very, very great cost sometimes, that he always intends to pass it on to the new coming and new entrants who are coming into this particular profession. And for that, he has established a real estate studies management academy called RESMA, where the entire real estate business is being conveyed to the those who attend the course in a very, very comprehensive manner. So RESMA is his baby. Similarly, recently, he has written a book on a very complex subject called the town planning mechanism. So the second compartment of him being an academician is a very, very interesting and fascinating compartment. Third is a very popular town planner. Friends, and he is a very expert in it, and that also is his favorite subject. And he is also mentoring a very professional and national level institute called ITPI. So the third compartment is a town planning compartment. Friends, the several compartments are there. Is also attached and actively involved in the management and affairs of many social, cultural organizations in Ahmedabad, even outside Ahmedabad also. Similarly, the institutes. At the same time, is an advisor to the Fee Regulatory Committee. Over and above, despite of his very busy schedule, he is a very true family person and also an ardent traveler. He loves to travel. So despite of a very busy schedule, he takes care of all these other peripheral activities also. Friends, the compartments are so many. If I take you to the journey of all the compartments, the time of webinar will be very little for the, so it is not possible for us to explore all the compartments of the package called NK. But I considered myself as a very privileged person. I have been the part of many of these compartments, and also as and when convenient to him, he calls me either on the phone or we sit together for long hours and share our thoughts. So it's my, NK sir, it's a great privilege for me to be a part of this package. Now I will say a few words about the today's subject. Friends, particularly this particular subject was recently shared by NK with the students of the very famous Management Institute of Ahmedabad. And we at a GICA liked the contents very much and requested NK to reproduce. So he has done even certain modification also. At that we will be listening and understanding from him only. But the main thing about this today's subject, friends, you know, the past is always the barometer for the future. And moreover, everyone knows that the real estate is a cyclical business. So in this particular presentation, NK has tried to cover a cycle starting from 2007-8, that crisis which had occurred in the subprime, to 2020. So that is the cycle which he has considered in this presentation. And then this post-COVID, what is going to happen, that also he has tried to forecast and analyze and given a very pragmatic view of the entire scenario. Now, with this humble introduction of an institute package called NK and about the subject, now I would request NK to take over the further this thing. And friends, whoever has the question answer, please put it on the question answer sheet. I will be moderating, and at the end of the presentation by the NK, we would take the selective question depending upon the permissible time, etc. So NK sir, thank you. Yes, please now do the needful for the further procedure. Thank you, friends.
Yes.
Yes. Presentation is ready. Yes, okay. Yes, that's fine.
Yeah, it is visible.
Yes, it is visible.
Yeah, so we can start.
Yeah. Good evening, friends, my GICA friends, my Institute of Town Planners, town planning friends, and real estate friends. Basically, I'm with the real estate. My background comes from the real estate since last 39 years. I kept the title of my this presentation an opportunity. As we know, stock analysis, strength, weakness, opportunity, and threat. So generally, real estate is a business where the more informal type of business, more complex business which achieves number of sections of the different angles, and it also risky business. So most of the real estate developer, they have developed some resiliency towards the trade or the risk. So that's why how this post-COVID opportunity has we take as to build back and better. How? we can evolve the business something in a better way after the post-COVID 2019 situation. Next. Please, next. So, what are the factors? I will take you to a journey initially, as rightly Mr. Bhargav Desai has told. From 2007-8 to till post-COVID, my presentation will move in the various different segments. So what are the major factors which affects the real estate business? So rapid urbanization, demography, we know what is the population, what is a young population, what is a senior population, which affects the real estate business, housing backlog. In few of the slides, we will be touching this in little time. What is the development status of a nation? Is it developing, underdeveloped, or developed nation? Political system, is it a democratic system or else? So political system also affects the real estate business. And what is a government allocation? As we are aware that there were 5-year plans after our independence. So what was the allocation for urban infrastructure and urban housing, urban sanitations, urban environment? That also will affect the real estate business. Now, 7th is a habitat policy. Habitat policy, there is a national housing policy. There are various national habitat policy. Right now, PMAY, Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, it is also one of the habitat policy. So, is government focusing on a private housing? Is government focusing on a slum rehabilitation or in situ development of a slums? Or is it a model of public housing? Like there were number of during 60s or 70s, there were public housing boards and public housing corporation in various states. And generally they were the catering, EWS, LIG, MIG, all type of housing, they were taking care. At that time, the role of private developer was not much. And there were also urban land ceiling and other act were also present. So habitat policy plays a very vital role. Then foreign investment. If you see FDI, how the foreign company are promoting the real estate business by the investment, by the technical know-how. This is one of the factors. 9th is a GDP of a country. If country is flourishing, its GDP is well, then of course all the various segment of the economy will work well, and real estate is also one of that. Then next is other economic things. So other economic means there are various other factors. What is the inflation rate? What is the unemployment rate? What is the health mortality ratio? So such of other economic things also will affect the real estate business. Then of course the business environment. How the local self-government, state government, and finally the central government is actively working and providing an excellent business environment, and finally the built environment. Now we were talking about resilient city. Now the urban planning should be a resilient one. There is a Rockefeller Foundation who has some 6 years before 100 resilient city. So we have to talk about the green city. We have to talk about the sustainable city. We have to talk about the how the city. So in that case, we need number of the professionals, built environment professionals, those who can guide us in a proper way. After post-COVID also, there are going to be number of the changes in urban built environment. There are going to be changes in the business environment, in a design of an apartment. So this availability and expertise of built environment professional is one of the factors. Next. So as I have told you about the urbanization, we were only about 6 crore people in 1951, as per the census, the urban population, and see, right now, this is at 2011. Today we are in 2020. New census has just started their work, but unfortunately in this pandemic post-COVID situation, they have stopped the census work. But as per 2011, there were 37 crore. So right now there are more than 50 crore population in urban area. So this is the how rapidly the India is urbanizing. Similarly, if you go talk about the global urbanization, the scene is the same. Yes, next. So this is a growth. We were 18% urban. In 2011, it is a 27%. Right now, we are 36% urban India. And as per the various estimate and research, in 2030, about more than 40%. So out of the 2%, 1% will be staying in urban India. Next. So as I have told you about factor affecting the real estate, after the urbanization or demographic, housing backlog. So what is the scenario at present? So in 2011, there were 1.8 crore houses. This is a housing backlog. And this is very interesting. Particularly out of this housing backlog, 94% is either in a segment of EWS, LIG1, LIG2, MIG1 and MIG2. So we had a huge housing backlog and there is a housing shortage. Next. So I will take you one short journey through various compartments and effects and various events which affect after 2007-8 to Indian real estate. So in 2007 and 8, there was a subprime crisis of US. I will explain you about the subprime crisis of US in the next slide. But how the real estate industry grows. So generally, if you see, before 2007, the whole real estate industry was growing around 6 to 7% was a growth. Right now, industry is growing in last 5-7 years at 11.20% during each fiscal year. I will tell you one interesting things. In 2015, just I will remember you, 2016 November, there was a demonetization. So in 2015, if you collect the data, the residential real estate or housing, the sale was increased by 24%. When I was telling that there was 7 to 8% increase in overall real estate. But in 2015, there was increase of sale of 24%. And just to brief you, how many new launches after the 2016, there was a demonetization has impacted a real estate business in a great depth. So in 2018, there was total launches. These launches are of major Indian 7 cities. So 182,000 houses were launched. And see the increase. In 2019, this loss was increased to these launches were increased by 223,000. Now in the next table, I have said in the same year, what are the units sold? So you can see, even though there were 33% unit, so unsold inventory is one of the primary condition of the real estate business. And this unsold inventory are due to various things. No doubt the economy at large, no doubt the real estate at a large, no doubt the micro market of that city, and few pockets of some nightmare builders who comes and goes, who don't have to select the proper product at proper location, proper appropriate prices, and appropriate specification and quality of construction. Such products are generally in the Indian market for 6 to 8 quarters. So around 2.5 to 3 years, I have seen the inventory of 2.5 to 3 years in Indian market in most of the city. Next. So as I have told you, in 2007 and 8, what is the subprime crisis of US? So in US, before 2007 and 8, in 15 years, there was abrupt rise in real estate prices before 2007-8. And why these prices were there? So they were very lenient lending practices of US. So they were paying something 95%. They were not doing proper due diligence. They were not doing the repayment capacity of a individual customer. And due to that, and what they were doing, they were lending the money to the US citizen, but that home loan package through special vehicle, they were selling it to global. So the developed countries, US investment fund, they were selling this loan portfolio to US and outside US. So suddenly, what happened? US investment, they found that about a 25, take an example, $25. Out of $25, their balance sheet has been leveraged 25 times. Why? Only $1 was equity and $24 was the borrowed money. And that bubble burst in a US market. And due to that, the US and investment in India reduced. That is one thing. And our IT sector, right now, if we talk about our export sector, till today, more than half, more than 50%, we earn the dollars or we earn the foreign investment through IT and ITES services. And out of that, 75% revenue we are generating from the US. And that was the reason that India was affected. And due to that, there was number of the loss in jobs in India. Few, not much, but Indian economy has exposure in Citibank and other things. And during those periods, due to the subprime crisis and liquidity crunch, not in US government, not in US companies, not in US financial companies, US shares of Nasdaq and other things were reduced during those days 35% or more than that. So tourism industry, where we had a sizable share of US citizens. So our tourists are sizable from USA. So we also faced the subprime crisis of US in 2007 and 8. Next, please. So, as I said you, real estate is part of the Indian economy. Now, what is the contribution to GDP? So, GDP contribution, if we talk, then it is 4.5% contribution in 2003-4. If we talk about 2017, our GDP contribution is 6%. Similarly, if we talk about the contribution estimated pre-COVID, I'm talking about pre-COVID contribution, that is a 13% we were estimating in our GDP. So what is the importance of our sector or real estate sector is 30% GDP contribution is a big way. Then I will inform you or I will make you understand about what is the size of this industry. So right now in 2019, it is a 12,000 crore size industry, but it is expected by 2040 something 65,000. This is expectation, pre-COVID expectation, 65,000 crore size industry. This is the industry which employs second highest employer. If you see, after agriculture, the construction industry in the country is a second highest employer, which employs unskilled, semi-skilled, skilled laborers in the industries, and more than 270 industry are directly depends, like steel, cement, ceramics, so aluminum, glass. So these are the plywood. These are the industry which are directly dependent on the industry. So real estate has got very major component, and it is one of the major part of Indian economy. Next. So this is one chart which I am showing you. CBRE is one of the research real estate firm. So last year, the CREDAI India has given one project to CBRE. So what will exploring the future city, how the city should be there. So after number of the in-depth discussion, so relation with economy of real estate. So one is a demographic condition. Here I want to draw your one attention that India is a young city. Still our age of the general population is around 25 to 27 years. We had number of the cities, more than 8,000 urban units are there. We had excellent real estate scenario. Then we are talking about the future. So climate change and sustainability, these are going to be very crucial things. As we know, some of the urban citizens feel that compared to this scenario of lockdown, compared to this scenario of pandemic, compared to this scenario of this supply of our supply chains, right? Villages are fine. It should be, instead of main city, there should be a cluster of city having 5-10 lakhs population. Is it good? Is we have to think about urban-rural combination. We have to think about a regional planning or regional urban linkages. So these are number of the question, but it is not a subject of today. We will not touch upon the things. And finally, the technology. So these are the things which CBRE has given. So these are the 5 pillars. Next, please. So now I will take you to Ahmedabad market just to have snapshot of Ahmedabad real estate market. So around 4,700 units were launched in 2017. And it was reduced by 13%. This is the effect. Why I put this slide? How the demonetization has affected the real estate sales. Similarly, compared to 2017, 2018, there was increase in sales by 3%. And what is the average price in Ahmedabad? Each city has a weighted average. Each city has a core walled city area, developed city, elite city area, middle income group area, few ghettos, few peri-urban areas or fringe area. So Ahmedabad real estate is around 30,000 rupees per square meter. And see the unsold inventory. So unsold inventory is, as I have told you just now, that if you are supplying 5,000 units and your unsold inventory is something 14,000 units. So generally, most of the real estate market have a 3-year such unsold inventory. Next, please. This is again Ahmedabad market where 30,000 square meter. Here I want to point only one point. See the price of 2016, year 2016, 29,530 was the price per square meter, and see the price of 2018. It is 30,570. So most of my viewer today are related to built environment. So around or less than 1,000 rupees per square meter increase means 100 rupees per square feet increase. So if you just compare the cement and steel and labor prices, even though the construction cost has been gone 300 to 400 rupees per square feet. So there is a huge supply is always coming in a real estate market. Next slide, please. So this is the Indian markets. We have seen Ahmedabad, now Indian market scenario. How many in the major 7 cities? So generally in 2017, there were 1,03,000 houses were launched. And see, compared to 2018, why it reduced to 89,000? Again, there is a demonetization effect. Similarly, the sales which happened 2,28,000 units in 17, which reduced to 1,18,000. So there is a direct effect of such event to the real estate industry. Next slide, please. This is again, just I was telling about Ahmedabad that per square meter, there was in last 4 or 5 years, 1,000 rupees per square meter is the average price increase. Why it happened? See the supply demand chart. This data is from 2014 to 2018. So before 2016, see the supply and demand. Just see the number of unit in a vertical column. And see the supply in 2017, which is lowest, demand which is lowest, and markets try to have some upward trend in 2018. Next slide, please. Again, this is related to annual launches and sales. So similar things as we have seen about this last slide. There were 2013 and 2017 and 18. So 2017 is the deepest year for launches also, for supply also, and for selling also. Next, please. This is affordability metrics. So this is very interesting things. Generally, one should understand. For affordability metrics, one is the income of a person is one of the important things. Affordability of Mr. X is different than of Mr. Y or Mr. Z. So generally, if a 900 square feet house, averagely, if I assume for Ahmedabad, then in case of Bombay, it goes to be 600 square feet house, not 900 square feet house. Similarly, individuals, first is a house size, second is the income of an individual person. What is the income of a person? Third is what is the rate of a residential property in that city. So as I tell you about the Ahmedabad price was a 30,000 rupees per square meter, but Mumbai price, it is a 45,000 or 50,000 rupees per square meter average price. Then fourth is about the home loan interest. If I took an affordability index of 2008 or 2007, where the home loan interest was 7.5%. But if you go back to 2017 or 18, where home loan interest rate increased to 11%. So affordability is a very mathematical complex situation. It related to individuals' income, individual cities' real estate prices, and you have to assume the size of a house and how people match. Sometimes in Mumbai, people instead of going to 500 or 600 square feet houses, they go to reduce to match their affordability. So this is just for a knowledge when we are listening a real estate scenario, then affordability metrics is one of the prime things. And most of the things, if you go to JLL JLL, John Lang Lesag, which is an international real estate consulting firm, they have developed such excellent affordability metrics. Next, please. After talking you about the 2007-8 prime crisis, and then what was the supply, what are the factors, what is the relation with Indian economy. Now, at the end of 2016 to 2018, in that 2 to 2.5 years, what happened? So we know in November 2016, there was a demonetization was hit hard to the whole Indian economy. Not I'm talking about the real estate, but real estate was hit industry. Then suddenly in July 2017, introduction of RERA. I welcome RERA. Each business have got their regulatory, like IRDA, like SEBI. So this was a very much required regulatory authority. But when the market was going down, there was a disruption, and suddenly what RERA has done, RERA has not done anything. But what happened? For registration process, they take minimum average 60 to 90 days. So your project cycle, suppose your project is you are going to complete within 30 months. So it has been increased to 33 months or 32 months. So that 2 or 3 months, your capital or your capex is invested in that project. So that interest cost will increase 3 to 4% in a real estate product at end. So the input cost of a real estate company will increase 2 to 3% by RERA. This was one of the things. And one of the other things is, otherwise also real estate has 37 permission. This is not a subject, but out of that, RERA has come up with one of the bigger window. I welcome the RERA, but RERA should have few things: a due diligence of title, all the common properties should be gone to the maintenance society, not filtering the money of a member to other projects. These 3-4 things are excellent, but other things they are doing, which as per my personal view, is hampering the growth and putting more cost to the real estate product. Third one is the GST implementation. I will compare GST with previous taxes. So previous in Gujarat, there was only VAT tax, which was around 1%. And there was a service tax, particularly on real estate or commercial, that comes to 4 to 5%. So on the whole, there was around 6% was a tax before GST, goods and service tax. Now it has been increased to 12%. So suddenly there was abrupt rise of 6%. So if your price is a 13,000 rupees per square meter, and as I have told you that 1,000 rupees per square meter is an increase in 4 years. So per year increases 250 rupees per square meter. And at that time, if you introduce one tax where you have to pay another 200 or 300 rupees per square meter, so it will definitely affect first few years to the market itself. Now, parallel to that, in 2016 onwards, 17 and 18, there was drop in Indian economy, their GDP growth, if we talk, employment rate. So all has done, all have how they started a headwind. Next slide, please. So it is a headwind to the real estate business. So all things were there. Then this chart will tell you in September 2018, something about 60 to 65,000 crore debacle of IL&FS. IL&FS has borrowed from bank and NBFC and private bank and nationalized bank some 65,000. So it disrupts the financial volatility and also the sentiment of the people. Those who are in finance, either they are the loanee or lender. Then again, due to that, there was a huge financial crisis to NBFC companies due to various other financial, like we know the Kingfisher Airlines, we know number of the things. We all know such 40, 50 companies. So NBFC company has a huge financial crisis. And similarly, when we talk about the real estate, we have to talk about the housing finance company. So like Diwan Housing Finance Company and few other companies, they had also a liquid crisis. And due to that, about 4.54 lakh unit were running behind their target date. And one of the reason is this liquidity crisis, financial crisis, and most of these units are in NCR, Delhi, and in Mumbai. More than 60% this unit which were running late is in Noida, Greater Noida, Faridabad, Gurgaon, and in Mumbai metropolitan region. And due to all these things, what happened? The job market situation, all over the job market situation become very bad. Our growth we have seen 7%, 6.9%. So we are hearing and we are reading and we are experiencing in last 18 months how our GDP is going in a downward trend. And why this happened? So I found during my research that NBFC crisis is due to the ALM, means asset liability mismatch. This was one of the reasons. And what is a total thing? If I talk how NBFC, so in 2018, something like 2.6 trillion was a debt to the developer. So 26 lakh crore rupees is a debt to developer by various NBFC companies. Out of this 26 lakhs, most of the debt, as I mentioned, in these two major cities. Next, please. The government is very proactive to the business, and they are, since last 18 months, taking various measures due to the mismatch. Either it is a GST or RERA or demonetization or GDP downfall. So these are the few things which government has done for the real estate industry. One is the infrastructure status has been given to affordable housing. As I have told you, PMAY mission, we'll talk in detail in next slide. So Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, RERA has injected more transparency. The GST in residential has been reduced to 5% for non-affordable housing and reduced to 1% for affordable housing. No doubt, input tax credit has been taken away. But even though for the customer, from 12 to 5% for the houses which are costing more than 45 lakhs and 1% for the houses which are lesser than 45 lakhs is a welcome move. Then due to such measures, a global investment in the real estate sector is around 40,000 crore. RATE, few of the viewer, RATE is a real estate investment trust. So generally, there are few options for a common man for investment. One is a gold, one is a stock exchange, one is a mutual fund, and fourth one is a real estate. But real estate product in any non-metro also will be a minimum ticket size of 10 lakhs rupees. So such a common person, a person from a middle income group cannot invest 10 lakhs rupees. So in developed country, there are real estate investment trusts where you can buy one share in 10,000 rupees, 20,000 rupees, 30,000 rupees. And that trust is run by a corporate company, and trust will buy a major project in a prime location. Trust will have excellent consultant with them. They will buy the whole project. And according to their according to their design, according to their specification, they will construct, and then they will lease out that project to multinational company, and the income which they are generating will distribute to the general people as a dividend. So rate was there before 2010, but there were a number of other restrictions. So due to that, rate was first implemented in 2018 and 19 in Indian real estate market. Then in infusion of some 60,000 crore rupees by our central government, particularly for real estate sector. And there is also an alternative real estate fund has been infused into the things. Next, please. So as I have told you, GST levies has been reduced from 12 to 5%. This is very important. Definition of affordable housing. Earlier, the definition was little low up to 35 lakhs rupees. Now it has been increased to 45 lakhs rupees a cost. And second thing, in metro up to 60 square meter carpet area is affordable housing. And in non-metro, it is 90 square meter is a carpet. And due to that, there are number of the things has been happen. It will come under new definitions, and due to that, I will show you in next slide, the demand has been increased like anything. Next, please. These are another government support. Recent budget, there is a tax exemption, individual having 5 lakhs rupees to gross 6 lakhs rupees. Benefit for an investment up to 3 crore rupees. Standard deduction has been increased little bit. Exemption in capital gain up to 2 crore rupees in a second home. Developers benefit of 80 AB has been extended for 1 year. There is a exemption of a notional rent. This is one of the important points. Before 2000, before 3 or 4 years, there was a provision in income tax where after view permission within 1 year, if that house, if that apartment or a commercial space is not sold by the developer company due to ABC reason, then the notional rent will be counted and that company has to pay the standard income tax on that. The unsold inventory, I'm talking about the unsold inventory, they have to pay the 33% tax. So that was 1 year has been introduced, but in last budget, it has kept from 1 year to 2 years. It should be 3 years. As I'm telling you in my this address that there are usually 3 years inventory are there in most of the Indian real estate market. Next, please. Next. So this is interest subsidy, another government support. So up to having 9 lakhs rupees income in MIG 1 category, there is a interest subsidy of 4% on home loan. Up to 12 lakh, there is an interest subsidy of 3% for MIG category. Then this is important. Insolvency and bankruptcy code, it has been amended. What happened in Noida and Greater Noida cases? All JP and all other company file in bankruptcy. At that time, the money of their member, those who have booked the houses, they were not safeguarded under the earlier bankruptcy code. So now this home buyer has been taken as a lender. So they will have a right on that bankrupt property. Earlier it was not that. That was a good move. Then one alternate affordable housing fund with a national housing bank with an initial corpus of 10,000 crore created. We'll talk about Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana in next slide. Next slide, please. So this is a detailed glimpses of Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana. So total through that some 7,400 and something house project has been benefited. Housing in partnership some 1,000 houses and beneficiary led construction 6,151. So there are 7,400 such project has been benefited. So as per the government report, this is a 2018 March report. So 37 lakhs houses has got a central share of 13,000 crores. This is a very good move. 30,000 crore is a very good thing which has been pumped as a subsidy. This has been pumped as a subsidy to the real estate market. And next is a 1,658 crore is linked under CLSS. As I have said, if your income is 9 lakhs, then there is a 4% credit link subsidy to home loan. So some 1,600 plus crore has been given as a subsidy to home loan buyers also. Next. Then another is about 6 billion foreign investment has received in 2019. Government has allowed 100% FDI. In my initial 12 point, I have said that foreign policy is one of the important factors. So this time, first time after independence, government has allowed 100% FDI in few settlement project and township project. So these are the government support. And rate, as I said, rate was there since 7 years. But first time it has been in operation. It has implemented. So rate has raised some 4750 crore. So there are the company Blackstone and other things. Those my listeners are interested, they can search the Blackstone rate, which is operating in India on the Google. So despite the weaknesses, as I have told you in 2016 and 17, 18, I'm talking the number of the things in my earlier slides about the weaknesses of real estate and economy in general. And then I'm talking about the various government measures, support, system change. And then as per me, it remains stable as per the Knight Frank report. So there were good launches in 2019. And after that, all that 2019 launches. Interesting is, out of that 100% launches, 64% launches were in affordable segment. So the real estate industry has realigned. Industry has realigned their business. Instead of putting more malls, instead of putting more big ticket housing, they have put more launches in affordable segment. Next. So I'm talking that about pre-COVID things. Now the pandemic. What is the difference? If it is region-wise or country-wise, then it is epidemic. But when it is declared as a globally, it turns into the pandemic, right? Pandemic is not a total today's subject, but on 11th March, WHO, World Health Organization, declared global pandemic. About half of the population, 1.3 billion population, were under lockdown or curfew or with some restriction. Here, very interesting thing is first time urban space. Urban space means a city. And global movement. Global movement of whom? People's movement and goods movement. So people's movement from Wuhan, people's movement from goods from China to other city or other nations. And that was a threat of pandemic. This is not a subject, it's an urban planning subject, but how this first time we were thinking, sometimes we become biased to urban areas, we become biased to the city. Okay, it was started from a city and it is paining all the global cities. Next, please. Next. So, only if you talk about Indian real estate, something about 34, 36 days has been passed out. So we don't have much data, but there are the few data available. So what will be the effect? So I'm trying to convince you that the rental which Nirmal Bang estimate, that is a company in Bangalore in one of the area, they were estimating rental average of a commercial property some 64 rupees. This is a pre-COVID things. Now, immediately they have reduced to 57. So there is a reduce of some 7 rupees per square feet, which is around 11 or 11.5%. So straightway within 3 to 4 months, there is a correction in rental average. They were estimating that there should be a 2% increase this year, but in rental prices. But instead of 2%, now they are estimating that there will be a 10% downfall. So very interesting stories like that. Okay, suppose I am a landlord of this Ahmedabad Mercedes-Benz showroom. I am a landlord of, so within 5 days, I got a phone call from the distributor. He's my tenant since last 9 years. He pays regularly rent. So he said that in pandemic condition, I'm not able to sell my Mercedes. It's a white good. I'm not able to send. So I'm not sending you this month rental. Similarly, the SCG, the health company in Ahmedabad, health hospital company in Ahmedabad. So they also said we are paying 50% to you. So this is the real incidence happens to me. So in coming future, the rental income, the rental rate is going to be go down. Next slide. There is another report, Indian Chamber of Commerce. They projected that there will be 65% of default payment by customers. This customer may be a company with other business. This customer may be a real estate company. This customer will be a small and medium industries. This customer may be a home loan owner. Due to a pandemic condition, there is a chances of 65% default. And similarly, the same Indian Chamber of Commerce has predicted 25 to 30% new launches will fall in real estate due to the lockdown or pandemic condition. Next, please. Again, this is the slide which shows you how the residential sales has been slowed down. So NCR Delhi is at 23% sales has been slowed down. Mumbai metropolitan region some 61%. Bangalore, I don't know, it is surprising, 5% only. Pune is at 56%. And here we'll keep in our mind, what is the housing stock right now? In quarter one means January to March 2020. So NCR has more than 60,000 houses. Mumbai has a 92,000 houses. Similarly for other countries. So these are the unsold inventory. And on other hand, sales is going very slow down already. The rental are going down. Next slide, please. So in that scenario, what will happen? So default as Indian Chamber of Commerce has said, I agree with that. Default, more default may arise in real estate company. Then HFC, Housing Finance Company, will change. They will have also some liquidity crisis. So they will stringent their eligibility. Suppose your home loan you are getting on your income of 15 lakhs rupees, some 20 lakhs or 25 lakhs home loan amount. But now they will stringently scrutinize you. How is your employer? What is the financial health of your employer? Are you going to be jobless? So the financial stringent things will happen in a home loan and also business loan. And in such cases, in each and every city, in some corner, for some project, there may happen a distressed sale. And there will be, with few exemptions, housing prices also will see some correction. Why? As I will show you, the home buyers will also be in mental trauma. A lockdown is a mental trauma. His income will be reduced, that is a mental trauma. If he is working, then his job and job prosperity will be affect him. So it's a mental trauma. And in that case, most of the customer, those who are buying the real estate product, will play safe in the first few years. Then next slide, please. So how the employment? I will tell you, if we talk about the total workforce, so more than 23% workforce is directly involved on construction site. I'm not talking about that 270 industries. I'm not talking about big corporate company or real estate company. Employment on workforce, out of that 90% workforce is engaged in construction of building. Only 10% is engaged in other installation services or maintenance service or facility management. So this is the sector, right, where rural migrant, rural labor comes for his roji and roti to urban India, and he may be total unskilled, he may be semi-skilled or skilled. But post-COVID mental trauma, you have seen few such a huge crowd at Ashok Vihar bus stop in Delhi or in Bandra. They want to go back. So already there was in first week of March, there was Dhuleti or Holi holidays. And after that, there was a lockdown. And lockdown, I don't know when it is going to be discontinued. But after that, we have got few laborers on our side, but they also, most of the state is sending their buses and they are taking their workers home to their native states. So this is the post-COVID employment scenario. Next, please. So there are government initiatives. Immediately, government has declared a 2.8 lakh crore aids infusion by central government for urban poor through various sectors. Two times they have reduced, one time they have reduced the repo rate and two times they have reduced the repo rate. Repo rate is right now 3.75. So by doing that, they are forcing the private and nationalized bank and NBFC not to deposit their money to Reserve Bank, but to put that money in the business. In business, generally, they are charging from 10% to 12%. So they have been discouraged by lowering down twice in 4 weeks. It is a history in Indian after independence. Okay? In 1 month, twice reverse repo rate. As per my knowledge, it is the lowest among last 10-15 years, and twice it has been reduced. Then our finance ministry has declared 3-month moratorium of all loans. Either it's a credit card or a home loan or a business loan. So there is a moratorium period. It is not a subsidy. After 3 months, they will readjust your loan. And fourth thing, only yesterday, Franklin Templeton mutual fund crisis. The government has immediately acted upon it, and 50,000 crore package was given only to nationalized bank to pump liquidity in a mutual fund market. So we will go to next slide. Next slide, please. So this is just size of coronavirus relief package. See the Germany with 20% of GDP. And China is a 3%. And India, our Honorable Prime Minister Modi government has given 1%. So in one of the webinar, noted and very experienced Mr. Hiranandani has said that at least 10 to 12 lakh crore rupees has to be pumped in Indian economy. I'm not talking about the real estate. Overall in Indian economy, to get it back, 10 to 12 lakh crore rupees is required. Government has decided 2.8 lakh crore till today. We are hoping in next few days another government package may come. Next slide, please. So these were the things. So now in post-COVID scenario, what will be the technical things? So now my buyer or any real estate buyer can have a substantial research. All real estate companies have reanalyzed their digital platform. So from home, you can have all the data. And now you can use the digital platform, digital apps, 3D tool, video tool, live chat, digital walk, digital talk, digital documentation will be possible in near future. So earlier when our government was telling us about the digital things or digital finance, we were not that much serious, but Corona has forced us to use digital things in a future. Next slide, please. Then we are the built environment community. So what can be the design innovation? So I was thinking when I was writing this, my today's slides. So now people will ask more semi-open spaces. As we know, most of the people cannot afford 700 or 900 square feet house. But if you go back to 17 or 18 apartment in most of the city. There were good size of balcony. But that balcony area has been now merged into a attached toilet. So now the customer, those who have seen the 40 days lockdown, they will ask at least 6, 7, 8 foot balcony in their apartment. Similarly, for social distancing, they will be asking for another design with more width of common passages, more instead of 16 or 18 capacity lift, they will ask more elevators. Sometimes they will also ask that there should be, particularly the MIG 1 and MIG 2, lower middle income group people, those who have got a very small 1.5 BHK house, where the parents and kids and peoples are there. So for work from home, they required a cubicle. So you have to provide, instead providing other activity like gym and other activity, you have to provide working people also. You have to provide high quality digital connectivity with good bandwidth. And then for facility management also. Right now, what happened? In one apartment, there are 4 laundrymen are coming. There are 6 grocery men are coming. There are half a dozen milkmen are coming. Instead of that, now facility management is new era to be taken about all that things. And similarly, separate parking garages. As we know, when I sit in a car with sanitizer, I clean my handle of my car. So in that case, in the basement, if possible, in big ticket housing, they will ask separate garages which can be locked. Next, please. So one report from NROC report. NROC is a real estate company whose presence is very good in Indian real estate market. They were expecting some 42 million square feet will be leased. Generally, I will tell you that this lease space is out of that 90% is in IT and ITES industry. And out of that 90%, 81% is either in Bangalore, Pune, Hyderabad, NCR, Delhi, Navi Mumbai, some portion in Chennai, Bhubaneswar, or so there is not much share of a city like Indore or Ahmedabad or Jaipur. So they were expecting 42 million square feet. Now they have reduced their things to 35 million square feet. So see, this is a 70% reduced vacancy ratio. So office space requirement will be reduced. So your 17% will be going to be your stock. So in such situations, I thought about 2 thoughts, which is there in bottom. So one is a great job losses, liquidity crunch at consumer level, liquidity crunch at business level, liquidity crunch at real estate company level. And due to that, demand will go away, right? And due to the demand, there are chances of 20% reduced prices. This is one thought. Now, on the right-hand side, there is another thought. There is a lockdown. After lockdown, also, the constructions will stop for another 2 months. There is a huge labor issue. There is an issue of supply chain. New launches will definitely stop. So in that case, if at proper location with appropriate price and with at least proper brand, I'm not talking about a national brand, but each city has got some dozen such good repute developers. So such repute developer where they will able to sell and they will clear the unsold inventory. Why? The new inventory is not coming due to for 4 or 5 months your construction work has been stopped. So these are the 2 thoughts. Next, please. This is another things of high ticket housing, the luxurious housing, luxurious residential. So there is very limited supply. There is enough unsold inventory. But in this business, no lackluster developer. So here there are good professional developers are in this business. So all the such upper housing scheme are at good location with good quality, with good specification, but there is a enough stock. But this is a big boys game. So big companies are making, and it is for the big people. So government, as per me, government should not involve themselves in such high-end residential housing market. Next, please. So we have talked about the troubles. One is material supply chain trouble. We have talked about the labor retail uncertainty. We have talked about the liquidity crisis. We have talked about the business confidence, and not due to that, not having that business confidence, people will wait, no new launches. And we talk about the new approaches like work from home, maybe an approach. And there will not be co-working or co-living after post-COVID situation. Next, please. So in that case, today only in Economic Times, one very prominent professor and ex-director of SAP School of Planning, Professor Dinesh Mehta and Professor Meera Mehta, they have come out with one innovative idea. That's why I have included. They have come up with a package. Right now, government is interested to raise the finance. So a COVID finance, a COVID bond, it will be a tax-free bond. So denomination from 10,000 rupees to 10 lakhs rupees. So from retail sector, means from public and from the people, from the directly government will get that COVID fund, right? Similar example is there in the history. The US has made such a bond in World War II to meet the military expenses. It can be a zero coupon bond where you buy the bond in 7,500 rupees and at the end you will get 10,000. Or you can a bond with a 5.5 yield, which can be tax-free. So, or with a 50% coupon rate. Next. So, they have said that the stimulus package is 1.7 lakh crore right now. And they need to have more fund to be pumped in the post-COVID Indian scenario. So there are 50 million income tax payers and there are 28 million NRIs. This is their data. And if you average of rupees 40,000 worth bond, if they buy 50% from IT payers and 75,000 worth bond from NRIs. So there are 1,60,000 high net worth individuals are there, 3,50,000 HNI are there. So this can be named as a resurgent Indian bond. India has to be research. New India, resilience India. So there was in past, during Atal Bihari Vajpayee government in 98, there was a resurgent bond. And through bond, they have to raise some 2 billion. But instead of 2 billion, they were able to raise 3.5 billion. This is a story of 98. We are talking about after 22 years. So instead of 3.5 million, I can widely guess some 25, 30 million government can raise through such COVID bond. Next, please. This is one exercise. It is, of course, our projects. So, in periphery of Ahmedabad, in South Bhopal, there was our one project where area of land is 15,000, land cost is 110 crore, where we are able to sell the super built up area is 4.6, so 69,000 square yard is a selling. 12,000 is a construction cost, then stamp duty, Ahmedabad Municipal Corporation or AUDA charges, miscellaneous charges. So total cost is 220 crore. So our receivable, as per that 30,000 rupees per square meter, our average price, which in initial slide I have told you, Ahmedabad average price. Then interest, which we will borrow either from our investor or from the company bank interest. So profit before tax is 65 crore. After tax is a 21%. Before tax is a 65 crore, which comes to 21%. After tax is a 14%. So percentage of construction to project cost. So our project cost is total receivable is 310, and my construction is 82. So 26% is my construction cost. Earlier days, this is my 39th year in real estate. In earlier days in 80s or 85s, there were 60% was construction cost and remaining 40% was land and profit. Now it has been reduced due to the increase in land prices. The land factor has been increased in all of the city. So 25 to 30% is a construction factor. So after RERA registration, which now RERA registration is compulsory. So what is the risk if you are booking as a layman in one of the project site? So land has been purchased then and then there is a RERA registration. All stamp duty, AMC charges, all has been done. So only 82 crore rupees, which is about 26%. So 26% is a risk. If you book with a proper location, with a proper local brand, right? Then out of 100, if he is able to sell 26 houses, even though the project may be completed with little delay, not much delay, this is my assumption. Similarly, next, this is another, this was a real life experience, a real life example. Similarly, another real life example is a commercial project. It is about 1 hectare land on CBD area on Assam Road, which is also my commercial project. Land cost is mentioned 225 crore. Construction area is, there is a 5.4 FSI. So 88,000 is the construction I'm doing. Construction cost I have mentioned 120 crore. Then stamp duty. Here very striking figure is the Ahmedabad Municipal Corporation charges, which includes the charges of a payment FSI. I paid with one check some 34 crore rupees to Ahmedabad Municipal Corporation, as only 1.8 was the available basic free FSI. The remaining 3.6 I have purchased at 40% of Gen 3 rate, which comes to 34 crore rupees. So which is a huge amount. Now you compare the AMC charges, which are my construction costs. So it is 25% I am paying to the local self-government of my construction cost. So then another is the marketing, total cost is a 400, then there is a receivable 530 crore, interest and other cost is 45 crore, profit before tax 85 crore. So percentage return is 16%. After tax percentage return is 11%. Here, why I put this slide due to this percentage of construction to project cost. If I am able to receive out of 530 crore, 22%, then I am going to complete my project. Why? From my internal fundamental financial, I have purchased the land and all things are okay. Then and then my project has been registered in RERA. So my customer is taking only 22% risk in post-COVID situation. Next, please. So what we have to do? First, during this lockdown, pandemic outbreak, it was a shock. Then we realized what will happen, what has happened globally. Then we started responding. Either it is it's maintaining social distance, keeping health and hygiene, then how we start responding to our business community, how we have to respond. Then there is a re-entry is compulsory. So how the real estate business will re-enter, and it start with the productivity. That productivity have a number of the challenge. Challenge may be supply of material, availability of laborers, then liquidity crunch, selling the new product, then reimaging. What reimaging? The fourth one, new product, new design, new digital platform, new technology. So all are the new things. So finally, the sentiment was reviving, as I have told you earlier, in December quarter, December 2019. The whole real estate business, which was down since 2016, was on revival path. And 2 quarters have shown successive upward things. So it has been badly hit by post-COVID situation. Next, please. So the conclusion, is it going to be a V-shaped turn for Indian real estate or U-shaped? If it is a V-shaped turn, then we can think that within 3 to 4 months, recovery will start. Not whole business, but partly business will start. Some 30-40% real estate company will start recovering. Similarly, one survey has been done for commercial property. About 42% of respondents have believed. They believe that they are our customer. They believe that in next 6 months will one of the worst hit for the market. But there are few things I have learned. There is a little opportunity, little silver lining. What is that silver lining in residential market? The government has till today excellently tried to do the urban governance by putting the lockdown and providing various amenities and managing the post-COVID pandemic. So rupee price has been depreciated 12 to 13%. So NRI people, as I have said you, that about some 25 lakhs, 30 lakhs NRI are staying away. They are Indian citizens. So they may think that there should be one house in India, right? India has mismanaged the pandemic and various options are available from 1 BHK to 4 BHK, small ticket to big ticket. So there is some small silver lining. Next, please. So this crisis has retracted the end user confidence to its lowest level. So the purchase decision may delay. Mr. Hiranandani is a Naredco president. He is a SOCHM president. He said that in primary market, no major price changes. This was his vision. Scenario may be challenging for some time. He has not mentioned how many months. Project delays around 7 to 8 months on account of supply and labor disruption and labor challenges. Next, please. So, how the recovery will happen? SCAK V-shape is 4 to 6 months, U-shape 12 to 24 months. What is the time horizon? This is a recovery things. Next. So, for making the recovery, what we have to do as an individual, as a company, as a business, as a municipal corporation, as a state, as a central government, you have to think radically. Like that COVID bond, you have to think radically. Then you have to be inclusive. What is inclusiveness? Why I have put inclusive? Now you have to worry about the ghettos. You have to worry about the Dharavi. You have to worry about the walled city area of Ahmedabad. Your urban planning, your PMAY Yojana, all has to be inclusive. From urban poor to urban rich, it should be immediate before the situation worsens. And as I have told you with new norms of lifestyle, new norms of financing, new norm of digital technology, new norms of urban design, it should be done. This is a recovery, but it does not happen. And why? So I finally say one word. If we have to recover fast, if we have to grab the opportunity, there is an anti-sentiment against China. If we have to grab that opportunity, there are few things, labor laws to be simplified. One window permission should be given for the foreign investment. All things are there. but all for it, either for a radical out-of-box solution or inclusiveness or immediate solution or adopting new norms. One solution which is required from an individual level to a central government level is my next slide. Next slide, please. Electrical shock. So a mild shock, either to economy, either to the administration, either to the finance administration, is required. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, Yash.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much for your insights. It was really great to listen to you. Now I will ask Shri Bhargav Desai to manage the question and answer session. Over to you.
One word, incredible. 50 slides presentation.
Thank you. Thank you.
NK, great, great. We have learned like anything. Very few, there are a couple of very interesting questions. So I think we should try to cover. Yes, how much time do we have?
We have about 10 to 15 minutes. 15
Okay,
minutes.
okay, fine. Anyway, I have even done the gradation also. NK,
Yes, please. Yes, please. Go on.
yeah. The first question is regarding the labor. The laborers are going to go back. No, you have also said the person has asked what is the estimated time that they will come back for the work, and due to this, what will be the delay in the execution of the project? That is the question being asked.
Basically, about two-thirds of the labor, if we talk about Gujarat or in any real estate project, laborers are basically from MP, UP, Bihar, Orissa, and West Bengal. These are the 5 states and some Rajasthan.
Yeah.
So, about two-thirds labor has been already gone back. One-third labor, it is there with real estate industry, but in last 3 days, UP government is sending buses and Odisha and all state government are taking them back.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So in that case, today we started out of our 10 project in one project, less than 5% work.
Oh my.
So there will be a delay, minimum delay from 1st March to 1st September.
Oh, almost 5 to 6 months.
Almost there will be a delay of 5 months in average. And precisely if project is 95% completion, then there will be delay of 2 months. If it is at a foundation level, it will be 5 to 6 months.
Okay, yeah, understood. Now, another interesting question is, the gentleman wants to ask, what is the definition of affordable housing? Whether the governing criteria is the carpet area or the price or both or only one?
Basically, both are the governing criteria. Your ticket should be 45 lakhs in case of MIG, and it should be 25 in case of that one person registration.
Okay.
And 60 square meter is a carpet.
Okay.
And in that case, and for non-metro, it is a 90 square meter. So if you are asking that question for 80 IAB, this is the criteria. But if you are going to PMAY, Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, then 9 lakh for LIG and 12 lakh for MI. Thank you.
But both the criteria should match.
Both the criteria should match.
As well as the price. That is the. Many have asked, again in the affordable housing, whether it will be a boom or a slag.
Out of the all over real estate market, if you compare with all product, either it is, I'm not talking about mall. Post-COVID social habit, what about the mall? We can say it is going to be less food stall. Similarly for multiplexes, similarly for such commercial things,
Now, most of the viewers have asked regarding the specific affordable housing.
So in that case, affordable housing, there will be 15 to 20% reduction in coming 3 to 4 months for a product which is from non-branded local product.
Okay, understood.
But few brand will give not the deduction, but they give you some gift hamper, like free parking lot, free stamp duty, waiver in a housing loan for 6 months, some kind of such things will be there. But
some
I can
incentive.
say 15 to 20%, maybe a reduction in few
So
markets.
neither a boom nor slack, relatively a steady scenario. The other thing one wants to know, like for the now, as you said, for the wall city area, ghettos. So to minimize the urbanization or to reduce the density, should government give incentive for the satellite townships, which has got a potentially good infrastructure, and then the people should migrate from the urban area? Is that kind of the policy are you advocating, or what are your views on that thing?
Basically, there was one policy in 1980-85, IDSL. IDSL means Integrated Development of Small and Medium Town.
Okay.
So, in Ahmedabad, they have identified Kalol, Dehgaam, Ahmedabad, and Sanand, about 20 to 25 kilometers away, 4 satellite towns. And HUDCO was giving loan to develop that town. But major city is a huge magnet. So in Kalol, you will not get the Apollo Hospital. In Kalol, there will not be Nirma University. In Kalol, there will not be a Rajpath Club. Like that. So basically, satellite town, that whole urban planning initiative has been failed. But if government come with some mandatory things, at that time it was not mandatory. If government come with the mandatory things that you go to the satellite town, there will not be property tax for 10 years. If you go take your business there, you will not have reduce in GST. So if with such package, it may be incentive come subsidy mixed bag.
Okay.
In that case, I endorse that idea that main cities should be stopped. And now in commuting is very fast. Earlier we were a cycle, then motorcycle, then car, and then we are coming to the metro. So around 30-40 kilometers away. Optimal size, which may be 5 to 10 lakhs, such small city, not satellite town.
Yes, I have 4 to 5 more questions.
Why I advocating 10 lakhs? Then and then there will be a town hall. Then and then there will be a Nirma kind of university. Then and then there will be a good family club. Next, please.
Yeah, we can go ahead.
Yeah, some of the viewers want to know that the effect of on the real estate market in tier 2 cities like Nasik, etc. So, what would be the real effect of COVID-19 on tier 2 and tier 3 cities like Nasik, etc.?
Particularly, I will endorse the tier 3 cities.
Yes.
Right? Something lesser than Nashik or Nasik, where few entrepreneurs, those who are having their business in Pune, right? So Pune real estate is costly. And they had a distributor of, so they can shift their business to tier 3 city, which is a less real estate cost, which is a labor cost will be also cheaper. So there are more momentum may come in tier 3 city. Otherwise, I foresee the tier 1 and tier 2 city are sailing in the same boat.
At the same. But the tier 3 cities have advantage
depending
upon the location.
Yes.
Few viewers want to know where is the normalcy expected. I think in the last slide you tried to explain, but down the line, what is the That is the biggest anxiety
US
of
government or nobody or the medical team or the researcher. Nobody can predict about the COVID.
yeah.
We are in stage 2 or
No,
stage.
no, normalcy in the real estate. Normalcy.
So it directly depends upon our stage 3 or stage 4. But if we say that we are in stage 3, then before this Diwali, October can bring major normalcy. I'm talking about a major normalcy to real estate business.
So 3 to 4 months after the coronavirus,
From here, I count from 5 to 6 months.
5 to 6 months. Okay. And your views on the land prices and deals of the land deals.
Land is a speculative commodity. First, I will make you understand the urban land. Urban land is a scarce commodity. You cannot manufacture urban land. And when urban land is a service urban land, means it is in development plan, it is not in agriculture zone, it is having some services, some micro level town planning scheme or sectoral plan is there. So service urban land is a very scarce commodity. And who hold them? One is a big farmer, wealthy farmer. They don't want money, so they will not kick off their land. Second is a high net worth individual. They may be big doctor, big professional, so they don't need money immediately, so they will not sell. Third is those who have purchased either some pharmaceutical company in case of Ahmedabad or some other local national player has purchased. They are not in real estate, so they don't need immediately.
Okay.
Only the small portion purchased by developer.
Correct.
They come to in near future for sale. And out of that, all developer may not need the immediate liquidity, but few may need.
Correct.
So I don't foresee some great reduction in land prices.
Land price. Achha, our past president Anand Tatu has made a very appropriate remark. Unchecked land prices spoil the viability of the real estate project, which you explained in your this thing, that the construction component is hardly about 25%. So out of all stakeholders, only the land speculators make disproportionate profits. It is high time to do something should be done. What is your view on this thing?
This is Anand. I'm very glad, and this is question much you can say related to urban planning and much related to real estate also. As I have in earlier answer, I have told you about a speculative commodity. So earlier there was a Vacant Land Act was there in 71. But 91-92, when we opening up the global economy, so licensing has been reduced. So we should not propose that like urban land ceiling. What was that? It was a curb on holding a urban land and regulate the urban land and distribute to urban poor. This was the Urban Land Ceiling 1970 Act, but it was miserably failed. And after 20 years in 1999, it was repealed. So similarly, we don't want any act, or now we don't want any new tax regime. So in that case, what to do? So what I propose, when the land is urbanized, when the land is put in a town planning scheme, when there is a Pakka road at least, then for first 2 years, there should be FSI of 4. After 2 years, the FSI will reduce to 3. Then the remaining from 5th year onwards for the lifetime, it will reduce to 2. So by doing that, we know the land price is directly linked with the FSI or FAI. So after 2 years, you know, my FSI will reduce from 4 to 3. So all will sell. So you have to discourage the speculative holding, and that can be done by doing such planning measures.
Now this is from one Gurpreet Singh Sindhu, who has joined from Punjab. I don't know, but it is applicable for other also. What measures urban development authorities can take to back on track the floating of the new projects uh, in the urban areas. He intends for the specially for Punjab, but I think it is for generally applicable for all the urban authorities. So, a couple of tips so that the projects can be brought back to the track.
Basically, each and every state government has to look after the urban development authorities. Why, I will tell you. Urban development authority are planning authorities. They don't have a power under the Municipal Corporation Act, under the Bombay Provincial Municipal Corporation Act or Gujarat Municipal Corporation Act. So local self-government, suppose if I talk about the Ahmedabad, Amritsar or Ludhiana. So Ludhiana Municipal Corporation has a income of property tax, income of share from GST, share from state government, grant from state government. But the same Jalandhar Area Development Authority or Urban Development Authority doesn't have such financial things. So in that case, they have to come out with the innovative schemes. In most of the urban development authority in Gujarat is a peri-urban area or a fringe area. So they had a few pieces of land, or government has to give their land to such urban development authority, and coming 3 months. And this area are 15-20 kilometers away. So they have to come out with a 20 to 30 or 40 square meter small plotting, and they have to raise such money, and through that money they have to start the urban infrastructure. And urban development, for urban development private project, right, they can give installment in development charges, external infrastructure costs, such kind of things. If somebody comes that, as I have said, I have to pay 35 crore rupees. So if I now go for the same project, then corporation will give me 2 years without loan, without interest, some installment. So such installment I am advocating on one hand, and creating innovative financial revenue for Urban Development Authority itself.
Yes, only last question. There are so many pending, but this is a very crucial and important question. It is regarding Sir Rera. NK, we have taken your lot of time, but I think this is the last question. Will not the regional RERA authority become more stringent post-COVID, or they should become more relaxed? What are your views that what should RERA do post-COVID?
Basically, during my course of
Yes.
I spoke about the real estate authority is made for consumers. Only they have to think the proper title land, that is one, proper permission, including the BU permission, number 2, third, under construction project, no siphoning of money, third, fourth is giving the common spaces to common maintenance society, and a fifth, after possession, think about the major quality assurance. So these are the 5 things. And now the RERA authority itself is crossing the border. So they have to remain for this 5 element only. That is one thing. The second thing, for time delay, they have to prepare. The situation in Ahmedabad and situation in Jamnagar may be different. All micro market are different. So one state-wise increase in 6 months or 12 months is taken announced, or they have to allow. Because suppose I had a 12 apartment building, separate 12 building from A to H.
Yes.
So they have to allow the BU permission and completion of one project.
Right.
So when I had 90% booking in one project, I will complete that A, building A, then building B. So such kind of innovative things, it delays either all business in bad shape, and by putting a penalty, you're not going to. You have to think about the urban poor. So your thinking of real estate decisions should start from that urban poor.
Yes.
Who is to be benefited. So for his job, there should be thriving business, and for this thriving business, which business are giving employment to them, so construction or other industry. And to survive that industry, what action? I have never asked any subsidy or any kind of things in my presentation. But such pro-facilitating approach is must.
Is to do business, and so I would request President, so we should take up this subject of RERA with very good research backup given by NK, and then take up whatever the suggestions which have come also from the viewers. So for RERA, GICA and ITPI should jointly represent the government. And NK, thank you very much for this thing. I wanted to say so many things in the conclusion, but perhaps
Time does not permit.
yeah, and you have explained so well, so I don't need to add anything. So my role is over. Yes, you can take over the further proceeding.
Yeah, thank you very much, NK Patel sir and Shri Bhargavbhai Desai. So now we will request Secretary GICA Shri Kamlesh Modi to deliver his vote of thanks for this session.
Thank you, yes. On behalf of GICA and ITBI, I am thankful to our GICA backbone, Sri NK Patel sir, for sharing excellent database detail analysis on the subjects. I am also thankful to today's moderator, Sri Bhargav Desai, for excellently moderating this webinar. I am also
Namaste.
thankful to Yash Majetia for excellently coordinating webinar as usual. Lastly, I am also thankful to all participants for joining in this webinar in large numbers and making it grand success and motivating us for arranging more and more webinars. Thank you. Thank you very much, sir, all of you.
And we will shortly share the details of upcoming webinar, maybe in a day or two.
Yes, you can share.
Thank you. So with this, we conclude this session.
Thank you.